Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Ohio Guys here. My name is Christian Ocampo, and today I'm joined by, once again, another fantastic guest here. We have Phillip Sacramento. How you doing, Phillip?
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome to be here and chat with you. I'm really looking forward to it. When you got in touch, I was so excited. So I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, definitely. I've been excited for this as well. I know you and me have kind of like talked these past 2 years since 2019 with
hmm
some of your indie work. Now you're slowly getting to more and more bigger titles. So I'm happy to get the chance to finally get the interview with you and make this your very first one. So we're both excited for this interview here.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
All right. So just so we can get into this, so what is it like working in the industry today?
Oh, that's starting off with a big one. Well, I think for me, from my perspective, I think from when I started, because I've been doing this on and off for about well over a decade, and I think what's changed so much for me personally, like coming through it, is I think access to things have changed in a lot of ways. Like when I started, it was very much like doing stuff online on like online forums and things like that, and social media has, I think, just exploded that out in such a huge way, where you've got companies like reaching out and being more open about like their casting opportunities and things like that, and really interfacing with the communities. And I think as a result, that's also like bled into access to resources for starting up in voice work. And there's a lot more information out there, and how-to guides and help and support, than there was necessarily when I started. So I think it's a really heartening time, I think, to be in voiceover, and that's what makes it so exciting, is that it's opened the door to all sorts of people from all sorts of backgrounds. I mean, me myself, like I'm from a little seaside town on an island. Do you know what I mean? And like that, the idea that like I can make a place for myself in this industry is so really exciting, and I love that about it. And what it's like working in the industry is just every day is so exciting. It's always different. There's something new. There's something new to challenge you, and it's just so much fun because I get to create, I get to put myself into my work, and I get to really tell interesting stories with fantastic characters. And I mean, how could you beat it? What more could you want, really?
Yeah, definitely. And as you mentioned, you actually are located in the great UK, where people who are still either learning about you as they watch this interview, or they have seen your work in these other indie titles and some other bigger titles. It's
Mhm,
amazing now with how there's remote recording, where someone like you doesn't have to fly all the way to United States, go to one of these studios, whether it be in Texas, New York, California, in those places. You can still record at the comfort of your home, still bring out
mhm,
good work, get some good credits, and some great titles under your belt. So it
mhm,
has definitely helped, especially now with we're in the year 2021, past COVID and all that stuff. Uh,
mhm.
yeah, I think you've definitely have had a great fortune just being able to still do what you do, despite the outcome on what's happening in current events.
No, for sure. It's been transformative. I mean, because I think like least of which, I mean, not least of which is the impact that COVID has had across the world and for every industry. And like, I think that to be part of an industry that has allowed me to be resilient in my career, in that the technology now exists to record, from home, and you've got a lot more people working in remote studios and that kind of thing. And it's really made, I think, it's really challenged the industry to become more agile, and to explore new ways of dealing with their work. And I think that while the technology was there before, the in a way, like this has given it a sort of impetus for companies to really explore this and to really use it more, because again, they've had to, through the devastating effects of like COVID and everything else that's been happening over the last few years. So I think the barriers have really come down in a lot of ways to between the actor and the work, and I think that's so very exciting, and I think it'll only go from strength to strength as we move forward into sort of whatever comes next.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really hoping to see how far this can be taken. It has really shaken up, I would say, with the indie titles, and then some animes were now casting or who's going to be in certain projects or titles. We as fans won't know anymore because in this new year we're in, everything gets thrown as curveballs because you could be in something and no one can expect it. Like, who is this Phillip Sacramento I see in the credits of this? Who is this guy? Maybe I should find out about him. See if he's got like a Twitter handle or some social media, and then see what else he's worked on. So that's definitely have been a plus for you in certain ways. Just getting more eyes on you, your name, and then hopefully leading you to more work with like other studios and other companies that would like to have your voice in their titles as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think social media has been, well, it's been vital to me in my work, and I think really it's a vital component of any actor's portfolio. I think when they're putting themselves out there, especially in this new sort of digital paradigm of remote work and getting used to that, because I think it's one thing to have to spend years honing your craft and working on your demo materials in your portfolio and resume, and that's all great, but really interfacing with the public is another huge part of that, and making yourself known in a public space. And that's something that like I've kind of very much like most of the things in my voiceover career, it's very much a case of learning by doing. I didn't really, when I first started taking my first steps in social media, I didn't really know or sort of have a plan for how I was going to do it. I just knew that I wanted to put myself out there, and I wanted to engage with people whose work I found interesting or that excited me, and explore opportunities in that space. And what I have found through social media, through exploring it, and primarily on is that those opportunities are out there in a way like never before, and that really when you reach out honestly and earnestly, as someone who has spent time honing what they do, to other people who inspire you, you can forge incredible comradeship and working relationships with people that that translate into working on some really incredible projects. And like every day, like I feel so fortunate that, and again, going back to that thing of I'm someone from Northern Ireland. We're like I'm a small island in the UK, where really voiceover as we understand, as we would understand it today, wasn't really there in a huge way. I mean, 90% of your work, and still would be, like commercial work. So the idea of someone like me, in building up my career over time, now being able to do work like this, is part and parcel of, is owed in large part to the ability of social media to allow me to spread my work to more people and get word about me out there in a much wider sense.
Yeah, it really has helped. It's helped you just get your name more spread out, get more people to just explore on your voice work, your voice range. That definitely be used to their projects as well. So it really has helped. I'm glad everything has been up for you these past few months, this past year or so, to see how far this goes. So just to make the transition from getting to work with all these other studios, companies, in these past few years, what is your favorite project you got to work on?
Oh man. That's like asking me to. That's like asking me to choose between my children. I man to pick to. I guess I mean if I had to pick one project that stood out among all of the ones that I've done and that I've been fortunate enough to do, I think there was working on Empire of Sin. I think was a huge project, and I really enjoyed that because the company that makes that video game, it's a gangster sort of themed management sim game, kind of in the vein of like Civilization or something, I would guess, but like with very much with a sort of 1920s gangster prohibition era kind of feel to it. And it was amazing to kind of see the work that you do uh, turning into essentially like a product that people can pick up and hold in their hands, and working for a project like that, especially because the company that made the game, Romero Games, they're based in Ireland. So it was an interesting way that it all sort of dovetailed. Is that I spread myself out there doing this work and building up my portfolio, and then to do this really large project with a company from home felt very heartening, and it was great to work on that. So yeah, Empire Sin was a really big highlight, and one I was really excited for in recent years for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you had to work on stuff like that. Just different types of projects with different genres or different types of themes that are focused. Like you got to work on so many different types, like from these little pseudo medieval games all the way to these
Hmm.
prohibition era games. So
Yep.
you get to diverse yourself as well, just getting to either play with accents and play with your voice, just to get the right voice for these characters you play. So yeah, definitely with Empire of Sin. I think it's one more fun genres being just being a gangster environment where you hold like a Tommy gun, you wear those nice gangster coats with those hats, with that style. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, so you can't go wrong. Any actor, I'm pretty sure, would like to play Al Capone or be like in a Godfather type of project where they can show off their gangster chops.
Oh, totally, for sure. And the thing about the thing about the game, which was so wonderful to see, like as it came together, was, it's been developed with this lavish and loving attention to detail, and you can tell that like the 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 game was crafted by people who really that love that era of history and love telling stories in that vein, and that love totally came across in not only the characters and the gameplay, but also in the script and the dialogue that you were recording. And you got to play up with these very colorful characters, and there was a lot of really interesting accent work, and sort of variations on delivery. And it was really quite a challenge, because I think when you're approaching accent work as an actor, especially as someone who again is not like native to America myself, so diving into these vocal styles is again one of the new challenges that sort of I mentioned before, about how you're always being challenged to grow in the work, and that's what makes it so exciting. So yeah, it's really been a lot of fun working on that project. And actually, another one, just as I was thinking there, you were talking about like delivery and tone and that kind of thing, is what it's been like to do my very first anime production and working in ADR, which was hugely exciting, because that was something that was completely that was very new to me. Like I'd come from a culture of like fan production and like dubs and stuff like that, like fan dubbing very early on, but to actually begin to then work in ADR recording and working on anime, which I mean, for someone like me who like grew up on this stuff, I mean, it's just like, in many ways, it's like a dream come true. So, and that was really exciting. So, I got to work on Memories, handled by Sound Cadence and Discotheque Media, and they're doing a new release of this film. It was released once before, and then this is the new dub, the new release they're making of it, and it's based on a series of short films, all by different directors. And Katsuhiro Otomo from Akira, I know, is like tied to one of them. And so I got to voice in one of those short films, and that was hugely exciting. So as I say, like, it gave me great experience with ADR, and again, to see your words kind of being matched to this gorgeous animation, these beautiful images, and really vibrant and dreamlike worlds. Like, it really is the best thing. So it's been a monumental pleasure to be a part of that, for sure.
Yeah, like I said, you've definitely getting to explore different avenues, just getting these unexpected emails or calls by various people in this wide industry. So yeah, you've been doing great. Just just
Thank you.
knowing that, yeah, just knowing hearing you say that, I can tell like you're proud of yourself, just getting your name attached on all these different projects. So yeah, no, I'm very excited for you.
No, thank you. Well, I think that for me, like, I think my pathway into the industry was very non-traditional, I think, in the most deliberate case. And actually, like, really, like, there was a period, because from an early age, like, I had like very severe health complications, and so there was actually a period of my life where um, I was not in a great place, and mentally, my mental health had really suffered, and I walked away from voice acting for a long time, for quite a few years. And I just thought that was, it was just something that I would never turn into anything. And but the thing that it kind of taught me, is it took me a long time over the years to kind of recover from that and to really build myself back up, was that it was always there, this love of something. And like, I got into it completely by accident in many ways. It was a favor to a friend that turned into this hobby, that became this passion, that became this career. And so, I think the thing with from where I look is that I was somebody who didn't come into it in the traditional sense. I didn't go through acting school or go through all this thing. I studied the craft, but like, it was very much as I go, learning as I go, and kind of continually being curious about the work. And because I loved animation and anime and grew up with those shows, I was a product of the Disney afternoon and Saturday morning cartoons. My shelves were heaving with anime, and like, anything that I could see or read or just absorb. I loved animation as a medium, and the ability to tell stories of such variety and visual interest. And so that passion, I think, really, that interest is really what has kind of given me the strength to kind of build that up over time, even though it was in a very, very non-traditional way. And like, I think the curiosity, always being curious to try something new, to push yourself out of your comfort zone, and to put yourself out there. Um, even if it doesn't, even if it doesn't work out the first time, you can always come back to it, because the things that we really care about, the things that really drive us, our passions, I think those things are always waiting there for us to pick them back up again. And I very much think it was the case with me. Like, the epiphany that I had was that this was always something that I wanted to do, and this was always the place I wanted to be. And so, if it is that thing for you, it will be there for you when you are ready to go for it. Um, is sort of the lesson that I have taken out of it of the last few years.
Yeah, no, some good words to follow by. So yeah, no, I'm glad you share that part. Like, I would never guess you were in your own little dark period, which I think most people have had their own dark periods, but you just will never know unless they tell you straight out that things didn't go as planned. I decided to take a
Sure.
step back, and this is where I am right now. So
Mhm.
I'm glad you can share a piece of that, of your own personal life, your own personal experiences. So now you're here getting to work on these great titles as always. And one of the reasons why I kind of became a fan of yours, and one of the first projects I ever saw it was a little indie game called Eastshade. And I'm hoping to talk to you about that one, because that one really opened my eyes to more of what indie games can really do and how far they can explore, and just having these great mishmash of actors getting to
Mhm.
use voices in this game of Eastshade.
Oh yeah. Well, Eastshade for me, like when I think of Eastshade, it very much for me typifies kind of what I was talking about in that the industry is so much more wide open in a way, and now projects can pull in new and fresh talent from anywhere really, and it's less about having stock libraries of talent that people just go to all the time. It really is, there is so much more of a frontier for new and emerging talent in voiceover, I think, to make a place for themselves, and I think that's really exciting. And Eastshade is just a letter of love to that. I mean, I remember when I first came across Eastshade, and I was first invited to audition, and it was like nothing else I'd really seen at the time, because it was this very lush first person game of like exploration, but it was this very peaceful sort of leisurely world. I think we get used to the first person perspective being very used primarily for like combat in games and very aggressive styles of gameplay, but this was something that had a really meditative and really introspective tone, where it was kind of like it was about taking stock of your environment and really taking a moment to appreciate your surroundings and everything around you, and being just taking that little bit of extra awareness. And that really resonated with me, not only because like sort of again I'd gone through my own period of introspection and things like that with my own career, but also because I think like in many ways, like right now is a time when a lot of us, so many of us, are doing that. I think that game is now more relevant than ever, because people are in a position now where they've had to spend the last year, you know, with their own thoughts and really looking at the world kind of shifting underneath them. And I think the messages of Eastshade in that regard, I think, are very relevant now, possibly more than ever was intended when the game came out. But it was just this beautiful, sumptuous world. It was full of mystery and character and charm, and I knew when I looked at it for the first time that this was a game I wanted to be a part of, and this was something I wanted to voice in. So I auditioned, and I sent it away, and you're never sure. You never know what's going to happen when you send away an audition. And that's part of it. Part of the resilience of it is you have to sort of develop a sense of, right, I've sent my auditions away for that. If I get it, great. If not, I'll just look for the next thing. But I was so fortunate to be a part of Eastshade, and I mean, working as part on that project was really something, because again, it was a labor of love for the creators, and for the creator, and you could tell that in every aspect of the game itself. And to then go through this landscape and see these characters talking with your voice again, it's there's no feeling quite like it, of kind of knowing that you are now and forevermore a part of this thing that was crafted with love and a real desire to tell interesting stories. And again, there's nothing better. There's no greater accolade I think one could ask for in this kind of work than to be part of such an interesting project as Eastshade was, for sure.
Eastshade is special because for me it had a familiarity. When I first saw the trailer dropped, for a second I thought this was Bethesda, their newest Elder Scrolls game, because it had that vibe, it had that feel.
Right? Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. It
yeah,
does have that vibe, that like explorative kind of like go out there and have a look at this world and really go see it. And then like, yeah, I really want to, and I want to paint pictures of it, and I want to like really frame it in my mind as I play. And yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that, for sure.
yeah. It's just everything about like just the visual appeal, just the exploration elements. But then when I saw like it wasn't, but it was like inspired because of Danny Weinbaum, the mastermind behind Eastshade. I
Hmm.
knew that he was a fan of it, and for making this out of Unity and just creating this whole world, this is his vision, and just having this diverse cast of actors that he pulled you from, pulled all your fellow castmates. Like he had like this innovation in his mind of what he wanted to bring into his game, and I can only imagine. And again, this I believe it's like his second game, third game, and that's crazy. Just knowing that he's still new to this game, but he works like he's been doing this for a long time, and I can
Hmm.
only imagine how he's going to evolve in the next 5-10 years, and maybe he'll be able to make a game just like the Elder Scrolls, or it'd be like Oblivion, Skyrim. I
Hmm.
like to see if he'll get into that level and then give us something new, give us something more, something we haven't seen before in these type of games. So I just can't stop saying good things about this game, because you can tell there's just so much that can be done, so much ways to branch off from what Danny has established and what
Hmm.
can be done from here on out.
For sure. I think Danny did an absolutely unbelievable job, and like the work that he put into that project, I mean, it can't be understated. Like it was such a monumental task to bring a world like that to life in the way that he did. And I think that's one of the exciting things, right, about the indie space in video games, is that it feels very much like it's the wild frontier. Like it's where these really interesting and new ideas kind of coalesce and crystallize into these really special projects. And I think like that's always been the indie space's charm, is that, and its enduring appeal is that, like, because people will always want their AAA blockbusters. People will always want their high fidelity visual experiences and all this, and the auditory sound, and all of that is great. But I think the indie space really challenges our ideas continually, and it has creators like Danny who are coming out there and trying new things and really putting new spins on classic ideas and coming up with new ideas entirely. And again, it's one of the things that is so good, particularly about Eastshade, because it takes that, as you said, like the Bethesda model of games, where it's exploring a space and it's putting you in the eyes of your protagonist as you wander this space, but it gives you a completely different style of immersion and involvement in the world, because it's not about taking what you want from the world and taking whatever you can get. It's about meeting people. It's about having conversations. It's about seeing something beautiful in that world and going, I need to immortalize that for myself in this experience. I need to paint that. It it's a steadying and calming breath in a genre that is so often geared towards very frantic action, and move, move, move. You got to go now, now, now. And Eastshade is a game that invites you to say, it's okay, take a breath, look at what's around you, and just enjoy it. And I think that just that raw pleasure of being in a space is something that we do miss sometimes in gaming, and it was so glad to see it brought back in Eastshade. And I I'm staggered to imagine what kind of things like Danny might be working on next, or other indie developers could be working on in similar veins or something like that. I think it's such a rich vein to draw from, and yeah, when I think about it, I just get excited. Um, of all these new worlds and all these new stories that could be told. That's great.
Yeah, so same with you. Just hoping to see what's gonna make next. Maybe he'll do like different part of that world he really established. Maybe some other continents might throw in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure his skills as a developer, as a creator, will get better, and he will start improving. So we might see him throw in some new mechanisms in his future
Mm-hmm.
games, and hopefully he'll keep bring you guys in for more. Maybe bring back characters, or make you guys play different characters. The possibilities are endless with this game. And as I have you here for this interview, talking about Eastshade, I believe you were the third, fourth actor from Eastshade I got to interview. My personal goal for Eastshade is to interview as many of your cast members as I can. I know there's a bunch of you, but I hope to.
Oh,
That's my own personal goal with with the interviews I do here.
oh, fantastic. No, absolutely. No, it's Eastshade was full of so many wonderful performances, and I think each and every one of the cast really did their best to really bring this world alive for the player. And I really no, that's fantastic, because I'm sure every one of them has uh great and interesting stories of their own to tell. And yeah, no, I wish you luck on that, because like they were a fantastic bunch of people, and I'm so glad to have been able to work with them.
Yeah, everyone's great. I'm like I said, I'm glad I got to see who was in in this game, and like get to find them out on social media, find them who they are, and follow the work from there. So yeah, these 2 years I've been seeing your other cast members get part of these other games, or sometimes they're even in animes. Like yet another fellow actor out in California who's do some great stuff. One got to be part of one of the Gundam series. So yeah,
Oh, wonderful.
it's amazing just seeing how far each and every one of you can go, and what credits you guys will grab under your belts.
I know, right? It really is like to think of like the journeys that people go on. And like, if you'd asked me 3 years ago, if I'd seen myself being where I am now, I would have said not a chance. So like so yeah, that's the thing about life. It's just, it surprises me constantly. The work surprises me constantly. And yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Like, to think that you go from there to here, and the journey in between, it's incredible.
Yeah, it sure is. And yeah, just again, just going back with East Shade, just looking forward to getting some more work, and hopefully I'll get him for an interview one of these days.
Oh yeah.
I like to dive into his brain, and just learn about him, just learn about what his vision is. So that'd be a working process. Hopefully I'll get to do something in the future.
Oh, I hope so, because that would be a fantastic conversation. I'm sure Danny could talk at length and have all sorts of interesting stories about what it's been like from his perspective as well, like being someone who's trying to make this thing and trying to put it out there and trying to hone what he does, and create art out of it, and what that journey must be like. I'm sure that would be a heck of a story to hear. I definitely want to hear it. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I will let you know when that day does come.
Oh, good, good.
All right, and then just to kind of like change gears from Eastshade, I want to talk to you about this other project that has really gained tons of eyes like a few months ago. This project is called Catalyst Wake. So I was like bringing on that project.
Oh yeah, Catalyst Wake. Okay, yeah. So Catalyst Wake, I'd heard about this project, and then I was invited to audition, and I play in Catalyst Wake. I play Roth, and Roth is this big sort of. He was typified as like this gentle giant of a a character, which is an interesting take because the world that this Catalyst Week takes place in is this kind of post-apocalyptic space where all of these like very colorful and dynamic assassins are kind of going after each other, and it's this very densely knotted universe, and it's sort of when I first heard about the project, I started looking into it, and it's a really like multimedia kind of project. The creator has created this massive sprawling universe, and like Catalyst Wake is one part of it. And I think being part of that project was so fascinating because you're seeing one snippet of what is a much larger world, and that there are many more stories being told in this space, and then being one of those stories in among this like in the sea of like really interesting space with these really awesome character designs. I mean, you look at the designs of these characters and they're just like it's so good. Like they're all really dynamic and interesting and cool. Also very disturbed individuals as well, given that they're all like sort of assassins and things like that. But it's so much fun to play with those kinds of characters and that kind of material. And recording for Roth has been a real like pleasure. I really enjoyed that role because again, it was something different. It was something new, playing sort of this gentle giant with a violent history was really interesting to kind of explore. I'm really excited to see more of that project as it like comes together. But it was a lot of fun to work on for sure.
Yeah. When I first saw the posters, pictures from this title, I was like, "Whoa, what is this?" Because I wasn't sure what to make of it at first. Like, it had like that AAA or had more like a Japanese video game type of feel to it, but also kind of like felt like you would see like in an anime. But like it just had like at least this multimedia, as you coin it. So I was like, okay, this looks really interesting just by the visual, by how artistic it looks, how creative it was. So yeah, I'm still new to it. I'm still trying to see if I can get a chance to explore this. It looks really captivating, just by we describe it, post-apocalyptic, all these assassins. So there's definitely tons of great stories to explore from each of these characters.
Mm-hmm. And it's really cool, and I thought it was really interesting, like when you were talking there about like the visual style of it, because I think one of the things that sets Catalyst Wake apart when I look at it is that it really does feel like something original kind of brought out of a lot of different styles and a lot of different ways of doing it, because I think you're right, it's got elements of it that definitely have that anime feel to it, but then it's got very different visual styles in there as well, and I think there's nothing quite like it. It's very original and new, and it feels fresh, and that's exciting because it feels like, oh, I've not seen anything like this before. What is this? What is this about? And I think that's part of what makes it so compelling and so attractive, is that like it's something new, it's something very different, and something just so visually exciting that I think it can't help but like draw you in. And then once you're in, you start to explore this world and see more of what it's about and the layers that are kind of underneath it all. And I think it's so cool. So like, and I'm sitting here as someone who like voiced in it, and I want to see it. I want to explore this world, and I want to see who these characters are and what their stories are. And so like I'm there with everybody else and being very excited about this coming out. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping to check it out whenever I get the chance to see it. So yeah, it's that potential right there. A lot of great stuff. Just again, just by looking at it's got that appeal. It's got that draw where you just look at it and you want to see what it's about. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's episode.
Yeah.
All right, so another project I want to mention. This one, I got to hear your voice when you those demos you posted on Twitter. People can always go back and listen.
Oh yes.
Excellent voice, and this one is from Astoria Legends Red Moon. What was like working on that?
Oh man, Astoria Legends Red Moon. So yes, I voice Aster Rowan in Astoria Legends Red Moon, and that looks great. Like the developer, like they post prolifically on Twitter. It was actually where I first heard about it before the auditions were going out about it. And I remember like they were posting up these gameplay demos. It's sort of like a 2D. It's like a 2D Devil May Cry or something in that kind of vein. And I remember first seeing it, and I was just blown away. The kinetic style of the action, the visual flair that was on show. I mean, it was just astounding. And then when the opportunity to audition came up, I knew I had to go for it, so I tried it, went in for it. I was lucky enough to get it, and then I was chatting with the creator, and that was when I really, because chatting with him was such an experience, because he just opened my eyes to, again, this whole world that had been concocted, that sat underneath all of this, that you could see, and that really the gameplay that you see in the demos are just like the tip of the iceberg in terms of the plan that's laid out for that game. And it's really remarkable. So it's sort of it's in some ways like, there's a lot going on in the story. The character that I play, Aster Rowan, he is someone who's saddled with this very heavy responsibility. Um, he has his reasons, but he's kind of at a point in the story where he's kind of at the risk of losing hope, and he's fighting to preserve what little he can. And he's really going to go, I think, in when it finally gets into people's hands, I think people are going to be really I hope people are going to be really excited and interested by like the journey of self-discovery that he goes on, and the journey of kind of discovering this world, which is so, and again, visually arresting. I mean, if you see this stuff running on their social media posts, like, it just looks more sumptuous every day. And he's continually doing more work to make the action really fast and responsive and dramatic looking. And yeah, I think Astoria Legends Red Moon is going to be something really, really special. And I think that people are really, if you get people who find out about it and give it a shot, I think are going to be really, really impressed. And I hope like they really enjoy the story that we're going to be telling in it. I'm super excited for it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to working more on that title.
I'll say this, because when I first looked at your character, the one you're playing, he gives off a bit of that early 2000s Castlevania vibe. Like, he almost looks like he steps out from Castlevania. Like, it's just that face he has, the hair, and the voice you do for him. Like, I can just picture, like, he looks like he fits in the Castlevania universe very well. And so
Yeah.
I just enjoy the aesthetics from what I'm seeing.
Oh, for sure. No, he's definitely the aesthetics are very much informed by and I think very much informed by the media that this game lovingly draws its inspiration from. So things like Devil May Cry I feel like there's a lot of that in there. Things like even you see with like games like Kingdom Hearts, so the later ones, there's elements of that in there too. And it's all wrapped up in this beautifully cinematic action that is just, these tight, responsive 2D fighting controls that, like, I mean, like I've seen combo videos of him testing out the combos for Aster, and it's just like it's unbelievable. Like the idea that like you press a few buttons and you're making this magic happen on screen, and then you're hearing your barked attack lines coming out, and all of this in the middle of it all, and you're just like, this is just this is just. I love this. It's just pure adrenaline. This is just so good. And I hope, like, and again, I hope that excitement and that thrill is what people are going to get when they, are able to get it in their hands and play. But yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, sure does. I'll definitely give it a spin whenever I get time, whenever I get my hands on it. It really looks promising, and definitely your voice, it sells it for me because I enjoy just hearing that gruff voice with that gravitas behind it, just so much like darker emotions behind it. So I definitely will look forward to hearing you talk more in this game.
No, for sure. Like I really enjoyed that because I think what's been most interesting about playing Aster is kind of capturing, because when you see this character in the game, you're going to meet him at a particular point in time, but there's this whole history that goes before all of this, and really finding ways to bring that history into the character of Aster's voice so that you know that when he speaks, because I wanted to be very careful not to make Aster feel like a sort of standoffish character. I wanted him to be someone that invites you as the player to want to know more about him. I didn't want him to feel cold or walled off. I wanted him to feel like the things that he was wrestling with, that he had a texture and a history to his actions, even if it was unsaid, but you could tell from his delivery that there was weight behind the things he was saying. And I really want to bring that to the fore. I hope to bring that to the fore with Aster, where he will be, I hope he will be an interesting and compelling character to dive into, to explore those depths that he has, and the depth of storytelling that's been written into him. Um, so that's for me. I think that's what's made Aster so rewarding to play.
Yeah, yeah, right on. Yeah, so I think you spoke well, and I think you give me more insight to just knowing that your character, he's not like any other. He's not the same as other characters where, like you said, standoffish, cold, well off. Like I've seen plenty of those in like other games and even animes. So definitely it is good to know that your character will stand out from those other guys. So
Mhm.
yeah, no, definitely, it really looks promising, and I'm very excited to try it out one of these days.
Oh, awesome, awesome.
All right, and another title you really mentioned earlier, just so we get a bit more detail with this game, Empire of Sin.
Hmm.
Like you mentioned, you Northern Ireland creator who brought you in.
Hmm.
You got to explore more of your range. So why don't you just tell us a bit like more about like how you came about it? How you got into this world.
Sure, yeah, no, absolutely. Well, so Empire of Sin, there was sort of an interesting series of events that kind of led to me being involved in Empire of Sin. But to sort of summarize it briefly, basically what happened was I was attending an event for like game developers in Northern Ireland, sort of like local game developers who were trying to kind of, who were working on it, like again, indie games or things like that. And I kind of wanted to go along to kind of, see kind of some of the games that were being made, but I also kind of wanted to take the opportunity to introduce myself to a few in case they were looking for, voiceovers in the future, and just to kind of, make some personal connections. Because I think sometimes making that connection in person, if you have the opportunity to, is a really, really valuable thing to do, because it's nice to meet the people behind the emails, if you know what I mean, and kind of kind of get to know them personally and a bit about their work, and like why what they're making is important to them. And like I think that's a really cool thing, and it helps I think it can only help you work better with people. But John Romero from the studio was meant to be there and give a talk, and basically I had actually missed them at the time, but what I was advised was, but I thought, well, I'll reach out in an email. So I reached out and I said, hi, listen, I was interested in meeting you, but I never got the chance to. And then so I sent out this email and let him know, like, this is what I'm about, this is what I do, here's some stuff. If you think there's any chance of working with you in the future, let me know. And like, that was, for me, that was kind of it. That was sort of the stage that I thought, you just sort of, you made your piece, you sent your stuff off, and then whatever happens. But actually, like, they got back to me and they really liked what I did and they wanted to talk to me more about some stuff. So they were telling me about a project they were working on, and this was what would become Empire of Sin. And then they wanted to hear me do a take on a few of these characters, and there was a bunch of different characters then that I sent off kind of different tests for. And again, they wanted to kind of capture this very like the ultimate gangster story, so they wanted these very big, larger than life characters, and they wanted this very, like, sort of in your face kind of dialogue. And I sent off auditions, and actually one of the characters who I ended up voicing, Dean O'Banion, in the game, was actually Irish themselves. So again, I think that sort of helped to kind of have a sort of link there with the character. And then the other character I voice was, and Dean is one of the characters that you can play as in the campaign. So the game is about you kind of building this criminal empire in the age of prohibition to kind of take over your city. So it's about management. It's got turn-based combat, and you're kind of building a mob of your own to kind of take over the city. So Dean is one of the characters you can play, and of course he has his own story and his own reasons for doing what he's doing, and he can interact with the other characters you can play as, and they have dialogue, and you get to learn about their stories too, which is really, really interesting. And then the other character I voice is Sal. Sal is he's kind of the driver. He sort of drives everybody around, and he kind of knows everything about everybody. And one of the nice things about him is he's actually also the voice of the tutorial. So if you pick up Empire of Sin and you're learning how to play Empire of Sin, it's going to be my voice you'll hear teaching you how to play the game, which is really interesting because we had to record. I remember recording the same dialogue multiple times because obviously the game was going to be on multiple platforms. So you had to say, like, press the A button and then press the cross button and then press the space bar. So you're doing all these different takes with all of these different variations, bearing in mind that people would be playing on different control schemes. But it was lovely. It was such a lovely project to work on and just immerse yourself in this very stylish, this very high class but very brutal and vicious world, that where these characters are big and, as I said, larger than life. So when they walk into a room, like, they really dominate the space, and you want to you get to kind of swagger about a bit more with your performance, which was something I really, really enjoyed. So that I think was one of the big pleasures that I got from working on that game. So Empire Sin was a ton of fun in that regard.
Yeah, no, glad to hear a bit more about Empire of Sin. Just, I can tell, like, it's really special to you in many ways, just having that Irish connection with the creator, just getting to network yourself more in person. It does help just meet people face to face, because I'm pretty sure when they have to send auditions or receive auditions, everyone else is just a faceless actor that they just send their demos, whatever, and then just having that face like attached to your voice or whatever you send to them, it kind of helps. Like, okay, they know you, they know how you are as a person, and just with past conversations, they understand like what you're offering to bring to the table, how far you're willing to give them as much of your vocal range to pick from. So yeah, definitely it's a good way to get more work and having that connection with someone that's in these creative decisions.
For sure, and I think I think as well, maintaining a personal connection with the people you work with, and kind of making that initial face-to-face communication when you can. I mean, obviously things are very different now, but like I think it helps to ground you, I think, as an actor as well, because I think like it's easy to kind of, you know, we're more than just the things we do, you know what I mean? Like we're more than just voices. The people that are making these things are more than just their job. They're more than just creatives. You know, they're people, and because they are people like you, they, you know, there are dynamics at play that, you know, people can get a sense of what you're like to work with, or kind of even just if, you know, if they like you as a person, they kind of like what you're about, or they like what you're kind of, you know, what you kind of stand for in your work. And all of those things are good because if for nothing else, even if it doesn't lead to you getting more work, it gets you, it 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 enriches you as a person to do that, and it gives you, I think, a better perspective and appreciation of all levels of how things like this get turned into reality. And I think that that gives you a good, I think that that keeps you humble, because you realize, you know, you learn that like eh, these projects do not are not necessarily just one person's vision. You know, they are collaborative works, with multiple different people trying to all trying to bring their passions together, like you are as an actor, to make something like that happen. And I think meeting people is a good way to remind yourself of that. And I think it helps you and enhances your dealings with people throughout your career the more you do it, for sure. I think the personal connection, I think the personal element of the work is so important, and that people get to know you as somebody who isn't just necessarily a face behind a screen.
Yeah, yeah, no, you've set it great, and yeah, just maintain that relationship with creators, developers, and like you said, just so they know how you work, you know, just them getting the field, and every time they hear your voice in the demo, they can always just picture your face, like, okay, I remember Philip, you know, great conversation, you know, we really talk a lot, so I can definitely bring him back for one of my other projects. So yeah, it's
Mhm.
great to nourish that relationship.
For sure, yeah, because it can turn. Because the thing is, like, it can turn into repeat work. You know, when people know that you work in a style that they're happy with, and that you do good work, and that you're, you know, you're quick to respond, and you're punctual, and you know, you turn up when you say you're going to turn up, and you know, it encourages and engenders people to want to work with you more. And I know that like work that I have gotten because I've made good impressions from the first time I've worked with them, and they've kind of gone, you know, they've gone, I like working with that guy. I'll remember him the next time I need to work on something. And like that, and again, the social contact, the social engagement, is a really big important part, I think, of any actor looking to establish themselves, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully the other directors will take a page from you. Just never be afraid to talk to people, talk to uh, studios, creators, developers, just anyone. It always helps just being flexible with them. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah, because the way I would look at it is that the worst that anyone can ever say to you. I mean, obviously, we're talking here, you know, being respectful, and obviously, like, you know, recognizing that these people have jobs, and you know, they have work of their own to do. So always be respectful, but always be curious, and don't let the fear of approaching someone put you off doing it, because the worst anyone will ever tell you is no, right? Or they just won't tell you anything. You just won't hear anything. In which case, you've lost nothing. You've tried to forge a connection and it hasn't gone anywhere. That's fine. That happens all the time in the industry. That's par for the course, right? You might as well try. There's nothing wrong with making an introduction and seeing where it goes. And you could be lucky, and for all you know, it could, like, reach out to. So yeah, reach out to people who do work that inspire you. Reach out to the people that you would like to work with someday, and let them know what you're about. Let them know that you'd like to work with them. Let them know that how to find you if they ever find themselves wanting to do something and they're looking for people, because you never know where those introductions might lead, and you may get lucky and it may turn into an opportunity for you. So yeah, no, I would always encourage new people, stay curious and seek out those that make work that inspires you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, good stuff to hear from. So again, do you make connections? You've really made some big ones, this past year, especially across the pond with the folks in Texas. This one really special. You got to work with Screw Tech for Death Battle. So why don't you tell us what was it like working with them on their YouTube channel?
So I remember, I remember watching Death Battle years and years and years ago. Do you know what I mean? When doing work like this was the farthest thing from my mind, just like I was just watching this because it was a show that I liked back then I think it was on Game Trailers back then or something. They were on a different, yeah, it wasn't on YouTube the way it is now, but like I remember, and like being part of Death Battle, there was, it was surreal. And again, this is one of the fascinating parts of the work, is that you can end up on these projects where, like, I was watching this, I was just a fan of watching this. To think that I'm like in this now, that I'm a part of this, it's just mind blowing. So yeah, working on that, and then on top of that, to be voicing like Master Yoda. It doesn't get it doesn't get much more iconic than Master Yoda. So like the opportunity to voice in Death Battle with a character like this was just unbelievable. It was just magic. It was just pure magic. And the recording session was so much fun. We were laughing for most of it. We were just killing ourselves laughing because we were just having so much fun with it. And there was all that energy. And again, like, the energy of the people you work with fuels you as a performer too. So the directors couldn't have been more wonderful. They made it as easy and relaxed as possible for me to step into this, because you're stepping into being the voice of like Yoda. that's not a that's an intimidating, there's an expectation that comes along with that, you know what I mean? So it can be tricky. But they made me feel so relaxed and so welcome, and that they made it as easy as possible for me to do what I did. And yeah, like, cracking out like the Muppet laugh, the was just like, getting to do that just in a live session was just a pure joy. And yeah, to see yourself then and again, to see yourself in this show that you've watched since years and years ago, back when you were recording with just a little desktop computer microphone, and like, and that was it. It's unbelievable experience. And I'm so like touch wood, like I'm so thankful to have had that opportunity, and to like I've been part of that show. But yeah, it was monumental. It was so much fun, and I was laughing the whole way through, because the character is just so funny, and they just understood how to get the most humor out of it, and it was wonderful. So yeah, I really had a wonderful time voicing for Death Battle.
Yeah, definitely. It's always fun just to watch these funny death battles, just having these different characters from different universes just kill each other. It's not say so. Not
Well,
say,
if you just, if you think about it, like imagine at the dinner table, like, oh, okay, so what did you do in work today? Ah, well, I beat up Mickey Mouse. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm playing Yoda beating up Mickey Mouse, and it's just like I, you just like how could you not love a job that lets you say that at the dinner table? Do you know what I mean? It's and seeing these characters, these colorful characters, that are so well known and so beloved, uh, fighting each other. It's great. It's like every 2 a.m. discussion on a weekend. It's just like, oh no, no, they would totally win, and no, this would totally be these person would totally kick this person all over the place. It's just like, yeah, no, it's great. It's great. So it's a fantastic show. Really, so much fun.
yeah, always fun. It was great just how they break things down, the science behind it, just the fact that they even made like what happens if his words meet. It's always just appealing how the folks at Screw Attack just makes these animations, how they just make these fights go from beginning to end.
Hmm. Oh, it's incredible. And I remember when, because I think when I remember watching the show years ago, and it was all done via this like incredible pixel art, and like now like it's a full blown 3D animated extravaganza. Like you're watching it, and it's just like, man, I'd watch this in a theater for sure. Like it's really incredible to see, again, sort of echoing that idea of like the journey of where you start versus where you end up, and like seeing where Death Battle started versus where it is now. It's just amazing, and to be part of that journey is just like it's so very rewarding, and I'm so, touch wood, I'm so thankful for that. Touching my wooden computer desk here just as a good luck charm. I suppose that's probably part of the Irish in me.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But a good little chuckle here.
Oh dear.
Yeah. All right, then just to wrap up with the whole Texas scene, because not only did you get to work with Screw Attack, you also got to work with the awesome folks at Sound Cadence Studios.
Hmm.
So you mentioned this one earlier in the interview. So why don't you tell us what was it like working on Memories, Canon Fodder?
Man, well, I knew, I, I remember when I was much younger, I was aware of Memories. I didn't know what it was at the time. I was sort of discovering anime at that stage, and Memories was this film that I'd known about. I didn't really know what it was. I knew it was like, I thought it was like different stories or like different, but yes, essentially Memories is like a sci-fi anthology story. It's three separate stories, set in three very different worlds, telling different tales, and it's made by some of the luminary directors of the anime industry. And one of which was Katsuhiro Otomo, who is sort of known for Akira, and his short story is actually, which was called Cannon Fodder, is the one that I actually voice in. So I voice as the loading operator. So he's basically this guy in a world. So the world is such where this city is all geared around production for a war that you never really know what it's about. You never really know who they're fighting or why. You just know that this entire city is geared around firing these enormous cannons like every day, like all day, and everyone in the city is just a cog in the machine of making that mechanism function. So I play the loading operator, who is this guy who just goes in and just barks orders, kind of Full Metal Jacket style, to everybody, telling them what he wants them to do, to load these massive rounds into these insanely huge cannons. And it has this very striking look about it. Like each of the films has like this great sense of visual style. Cannon Fodder has a really specific look to it that when you see it, like, it's unmistakable. Like you'll recognize it. You'll know that's what you're watching. And it was great because I got the again, because you get to go into a studio and you just get to bark orders all the time. You just get to go into a microphone and just yell at people. It's great. But this was my first experience formally doing like ADR, which was hugely educational, great experience. And it was magic, because I didn't expect, but I suppose really thinking about it now, because one of the things that happened was I went in and we recorded. So we just took it a line at a time and we were recording. And then next thing you know, like, there was the visual, because they had the visual there just to play back for me straight away. So like, you had just recorded this line, and you're kind of used to the idea of, you record the lines, you send them in, and then they come back, and then when it comes out, you see your lines with it right there and there. But it was great because I got to record my lines and then literally see them in the thing straight away. And that was so cool. That was like, for me, that was like supremely exciting, because literally you were becoming part of this dub as it was happening. And it was awesome. And again, once again, I can't say enough wonderful things about the director and about the team. They made me feel so welcome. And they really made me feel so at ease, which I think is so important when you're doing this kind of work. A good director is it's wonderful. It's transformative to the whole experience. It makes it so much more fun and so much more enjoyable. And I could not speak more highly of the direction I received for that session. It was wonderful, a great time, and just lots of energy and lots of yelling at people, which is great. So you'd be saying, like, bring down the cannon. What are you doing over there? You gotta get over here. There's probably a few times, I'm sure, my Northern Irish kind of like, what are you talking about? Get on over there. Probably snuck into one or two of the recordings, and then I did that, and I also did some background walla and some sort of incidental characters that, if you listen really closely, you'll be able to hear me in other places in there too, tucked away. But yeah, no, it was a blast, because it was just, no pun intended, because it was just so visually fascinating, and it was just such a like, because I'd come from a space of fan dubbing in the past. Like, I had some familiarity with the idea of like recording to video and like making sure that I matched what was happening in real time. But to have the ADR system of the beeps leading you in, and trying to time it to that, was such an interesting challenge, and gave it this lovely musicality, which was really interesting to play with. So it was really, really cool. But yeah, no, I had a wonderful time, great experience.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, this was your very first official anime you've ever done with anyone.
It is, yep.
Especially
first time.
Especially getting to work with the fine folks at Sound Canyon Studios. It is through a newer studio / company out there. They made the big splash in 2019 when they announced so many shows that they got to dub. Then it just seemed, fast forward 2 years later, they're still keeping the pace to getting new stuff, as well as mixing up their actors, because they were really known for getting people from different parts of the country. But now seeing them go more intercontinental, it's just a huge step, because even for me, like, okay, I can see, okay, they're known for surprising you with who they get, but then saying, okay, we're gonna go reach out in the UK and grab some folks there. That's even more amazing, seeing you get added into the mix. And again, it opens up more doors, more possibilities for actors who are also living in the UK or any parts of the world that speaks English. So I'm excited to see how far Sound Cadence and then maybe other companies out there in the United States, we'll also try and get actors from outside the United States. Anywhere, any actors that speak English that can be reached, that can be that can record their lines at home. It's definitely going to be a huge surprise and great benefit for actors living overseas.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, for sure. I think it's so, and again, like dovetailing with what we sort of said earlier on, is that yeah, that's exactly the thing. Is that it's opening up. The industry is opening up in new and exciting ways, and it's great and so heartening to see that that studios like Sound Cadence are stretching themselves out and sort of going like we want to hear new voices from across the world. We want to hear new voices that we've never heard before. We want to hear voices from different places. We want to get those perspectives in, and we want to inject that all that new talent into our work. And I think that's wonderful. And I think it's such an exciting sign of what is to come. And I hope that I hope that continues, and I hope that more companies start to explore the wealth of really incredible talent that exists across the world, who are ready and able to do this, do quality work remotely. No, so I think it's hugely exciting, and as I say, as someone who is just a guy from a little island somewhere, to be able to do the projects that I'm now doing and involved in, like it's a dream come true. And like I I just want to see that keep going, and I want to see that continue, because I want to hear even more awesome people from across the world getting their chance to make their mark and be a part of this industry, because frankly I think it's amazing, and I think it's great fun, and I want more people to have that opportunity.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm with you on that. Again, I'm just really happy how far that South Cadence is stretching uh, their their network, just getting actors from anywhere in the world, just bringing down the boundaries, bringing down like any of these invisible borders, just so they can
Hmm.
at least get some new voices in, get just mix it a bit. And I'm just curious for myself. Did you know about Sound Cadence before they reached out to you? Did you know about them? Because again, I'm pretty sure you were surprised, either receiving a email or phone call from someone from Sound Cadence saying, "Hey, Philip, we're Sound Cadence. I'm so and so. We'd like to have you in Memories Camp, Father." I'm just so curious on that part.
Well, I can tell you that it was tremendously surprising for me. I was not expecting that email when it finally came. I did not expect it at all. But I was familiar with Sound Cadence. I'd known their work before. I'd known they'd done really incredible work in the past, and sort of going to kind of echo something that I was mentioning before about like the social connections you make, is that there are people now working in Sound Cadence who I remember from like back when I first started, who were involved in the voice acting community online, and kind of who grew their careers into now doing this themselves. And again, it's that same kind of idea of like building, everything is about building the foundation for what comes next. And in many ways, like Sound Cadence is, because I see people in Sound Cadence who are working there, and I knew of these people. These are people that I knew were at a similar stage, years ago, and to see them doing that now is amazing, and creating this amazing work, and allowing making opportunities for people that didn't have them before. I think is amazing. And yes, it was very surprising to get that email, and I was on cloud nine for most of that day. I was just over the moon. I couldn't believe it. It was so surreal. And that's the thing, because like no matter how many years I've been doing this industry is always surprising me and showing me new things I wasn't expecting, or unveiling itself to me in unexpected ways. And this was exactly one of those moments. It was just like, I was working away, I was auditioning, I was doing my thing, and then for that to come back in the way that it did, and now to be part of that project, it was just, it was amazing. To repeat myself, I'm sure, but like, yeah, it was incredible and so surreal, and so fortunate. I'm so thankful that this is where I get to be, and this is where, and this is where I can say that I am, and that I have made this space for myself in this industry now. It's very heartening, and no, it's great. I'm very, very thankful, and I'm very, very happy.
Yeah, for sure. Happy for you too.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully this keeps on going on for as long as possible. I know Sound Cadence will still give us more animes. They will still throw curveballs at us whenever they bring you in, or anyone else from the UK for any
For
future
sure.
projects. So
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Absolutely.
All right. Now a funny question I'd like to ask you. So if you could be any character you have played in real life, who you be, and you can mix and match.
If I could be any character from anything I've played, what would well, okay, I'll tell you what. My favorite movie is, no joke, unironically, The Lion King. So if I could be, I was just thinking, okay, I was gonna say the character I play in My Pride, which is Light, but Light is not a not a good role model as a character to be. I think, who would I be? I think I'd probably. Do you know what? I think I'd probably be one of the characters from Eastshade. I think I think that dovetails nicely. I think I would go back to Eastshade and just be this just very amiable anthropomorphic critter, just walking around a forest landscape, just having a nice time, enjoying a cup of tea, painting a couple of sunsets. How could you beat it?
Yeah, no, definitely. Eastshade, especially just living in that world, like there's no conflict, there's no issues going on. It's just a peaceful little island or continent. I actually not sure about the geography. Danny doesn't tell us enough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you just have a nice chill time. You just kind of hang out and just kind of hang out and talk about art for an afternoon. I think that's pretty good. I think that's a pretty good choice.
yeah, again, just living there, just exploring the architecture, just so beautiful. So definitely, I think you made yourself a nice home there, and I think everyone
That's
would
it,
like to live there.
for sure. Yep.
All right. So another question: is there anything coming out that you can talk about, or anything that's out now that you want to plug in at this time?
Oh, sure. Well, yes. So there's stuff coming up, but unfortunately, can't talk about it just yet. But a few things that I can point you to. One thing I would say is, I'm working with Like Charlie Games on a new game that they're working on called Ghost on the Shore. It's a sort of in similar style, similar to Eastshade, or sort of evocative in that it's a first-person exploration game, but it's about the relationship between a girl on an island and the disembodied voice in her head, of a ghost called Josh, and I am the voice of Josh in that game. And it's a story about these two people kind of finding each other, forming a connection, and kind of uncovering the story of the island together. Um, and that's coming out from Like Charlie Games. So Ghost in the Shore, something to check that out. There's trailers for the game, and I'm not too sure if there's a demo. I think there was, but not too sure. But anyway, that's one I would definitely recommend that people check out. Also, I also turn up in the Lost Legends of Redwall, Act Lost Legends of Redwall: The Scout Act 2, which has just come out there fairly recently. So that's great because I get to play a mouse, and who doesn't want to play a mouse? But I'm the voice of Brunak Wheelwright. So if you're playing that game, that you will also find me there. And anything else like that, anything else that I'm involved in, I will be updating on you can find on my website. So you can head on over to phillipsacramento.com. That's 2 L's in Philip. I get 1 L all the time. It's 2 L's, phillipsacramento.com. And that's my website where you can find all about the work that I'm currently doing. My demos and stuff are there as well if you want to hear that. And you can also reach out to me there as well. You can get in contact with me there too. So all my socials are there as well. So, but yeah.
Just mentioned your social medias. Is there any Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or any other social medias for fans to contact you at?
Absolutely. So if you're looking for me on Twitter, you can find me at Phil in the Booth over on Twitter. You can also find me on Instagram at the NI Voice Guy. I had to tell somebody asked me recently, why are you called the Knee Voice Guy? And I was like, no, it's not the Knee Voice Guy, it's the NI Voice, because I'm from Northern but yes, so you can find me on Instagram at the NI Voice Guy and Twitter at Phil in the Booth. Also, I am on Facebook. You can find me as Phillip Sacramento on there as well. Again, 2 L's.
All right. Well, thank you, Philip, for making this interview happen. I'm glad that we were able to finally arrange a time and just hear you talk about your experiences. It's been a great pleasure.
Oh, this is awesome. No, thank you so much. I've had a wonderful time, and it's really been great having this conversation with you. Thank you so much for inviting me on to talk about this. It's been great.
Yeah, same here. Glad to have the honor of interviewing you for the first time. This has been great, and wish you all the best of luck to more of your future projects. I can't wait to see where you end up next.
Oh, well, no, thank you so much. Hopefully I'll have more to share with everybody soon. But again, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'll see you again soon. And I want to say thank you to our viewers here for tuning in for another episode of the Ohio Guys here. Thank you, everyone. I will be seeing you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.